Run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. This sounds like a fun kid's story, but it might remember something much older, a story about giving gifts to the gods and old beliefs about when bread was special and food could become alive. This isn't just a fairy tale. It's an old story with deep meaning and warnings. The truth behind it goes back more than 3,000 years. Before we dig into its secrets, let's start with the famous version of the story. Long ago, an old woman and old man lived alone in a small house. They had no children, just each other. The days went by quietly. One morning, the old woman decided to bake something special, a gingerbread man. She gave him raisin eyes, a sweet smile, and candy buttons on his chest. She put him in the oven. But when she opened the door, he jumped out. He was alive. Run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. And he ran out the door into the garden. The old woman screamed. The old man chased him. But the gingerbread man just laughed. Soon he met a pig in the mud. Stop. Let me eat you, the pig said. But the gingerbread man ran faster, yelling, I ran away from the old woman and the old man. And I can run away from you too. He raced through the fields, with the pig, old man, and old woman all chasing him. Then he met a cow. Stop. Let me eat you, the cow said. But again, the gingerbread man laughed. I ran away from the old woman, the old man, and the pig. I can run away from you too. He kept running past workers in the fields. Stop. Let us eat you, they shouted. But he called back, I ran away from everyone else, and I can run away from you too. Then he came to a river and stopped for the first time. He couldn't swim. A fox appeared with a smile. Jump on my back, said the fox. I'll help you across the water. The gingerbread man climbed on, still thinking he could outrun everyone. As the water got deeper, the fox said, climb onto my neck. Then when it got even deeper, climb onto my nose. Then with a quick snap, the fox threw the gingerbread man into the air and ate him whole. The hidden meaning. The gingerbread man is a story we think we know. But behind the sweet treat is something older and stranger than you'd think. When the story first appeared in print in 1865 in a children's magazine, the editor wrote, a servant girl from Maine told it to my children. An old lady told it to her when she was young. This means the story had been told for many generations before anyone wrote it down, passed along like a secret recipe. Experts believe the version told in 1800s Maine was influenced by different immigrant families who came to New England, English, Irish, German, and Scandinavian people who brought old stories about runaway food. Among Slavic people, there's a tale about Kolobok, a little bread roll who escapes from the old couple who made him and rolls away. Like the gingerbread man, he sings about outsmarting everyone who tries to eat him, until he meets a clever fox. The fox compliments him and asks him to come closer, then quickly eats him. This sounds familiar, right? It's like an old fable about a fox and a crow. The fox tricks the crow by praising how beautiful she is, asking if her voice is just as lovely. When she calls out proudly, she drops her cheese right into the fox's mouth. The fox has long been a symbol of charm and trickery, especially when food is involved. Similar stories exist everywhere. In Scotland, it's an oat cake that runs away. In Norway, it's a pancake that gets tricked by a pig. In Germany, the pancake jumps into children's mouths. All across Europe and beyond, we find versions of this same strange story. But why? Why does this story repeat in so many different places? The gingerbread man is created, comes to life, rebels, runs from his maker, trusts the wrong creature, and meets his end. We've seen this pattern before. In the Bible's Genesis, God creates Adam from dust. Eve is made from Adam's rib. They live in paradise until they trust the serpent, break the rules, and fall. In Greek myths, Pandora is the first woman, made from clay by the gods. She's given one rule, don't open the jar. But she does, and all the bad things in the world are released. In ancient Mesopotamian stories, gods shaped humans from clay mixed with divine blood. Their job was simple, serve quietly and obediently. But humans grew loud and refused to stay in their place. So the god Enlil sent a great flood to destroy them. Only one man survived by building a boat. What do these stories mean? These are warnings passed down through myths and religious stories. They remind us, don't go against your creator, know your place, and don't be too proud. In these stories, there's always a price. Knowledge brings pain. Disobedience brings punishment. Another common theme is humans being created from clay and given breath. This is one of the oldest ideas in mythology. In the Gingerbread Man story, the same thing happens, a body is shaped from dough and comes to life. Why food? Why is it food that comes alive in these tales? The answer might be in how ancient people saw the harvest. It's interesting that in Ireland alone, people have recorded at least 33 different versions of the runaway food story. That's not just chance. It suggests something deeper, maybe even Celtic origins. In Celtic beliefs, everything had a spirit, not just people, but rivers, stones, trees, and even bread. Once you understand that, the story changes. That little cake running away isn't just funny. It's a spirit trying to escape its fate. Cakes were often made for seasonal festivals, especially Lugnasad, held on August 1st. They were left on doorsteps and placed on altars as offerings to Lugh, the shining warrior god. In some modern traditions, a special loaf shaped like a man is baked to represent the god himself. This connects to the ancient idea that the spirit of the harvest must be given a body and then sacrificed. Harvest rituals. Ancient Roman writers claimed that Druids in Gaul built giant wicker statues shaped like gods and set them on fire with human victims inside, a ritual meant to bless the land and ensure good crops. Modern scholars debate whether this was true or just Roman propaganda to make the Druids look bad. In many versions of the story, the runaway food sings. Is it just a rhyme for children or something older? Celtic poets preserved history and sacred knowledge through song. Could these rhymes be distant echoes of that tradition? Across Europe for centuries, harvest rituals featured human-like figures made from grain or straw. They weren't decorations, they were vessels for something sacred. In many old traditions, the last bundle of grain from the harvest was believed to contain the spirit of the crop, the living force that had made the fields grow and fed the people. In other words, it was alive. That final bundle was braided into a corn dolly, corn meaning grain, not maize. It was brought home with ceremony, given a place of honor by the fireplace, and kept safe through winter. But when spring came, she had to die. The spirit of the grain had to return to the earth so it could grow again. The corn dolly was ritually destroyed, sometimes burned, sometimes buried, sometimes plowed into the soil. In Germany, it was soaked with water to bring rain. In Baltic and Slavic regions, it was fed to animals to bless them. Everywhere, the core belief was the same: this figure contained the life force of the crop, and that life force had to die and be reborn to keep the cycle going. In a world where harvest meant life or death, where crops were believed to carry the spirit of the land, it makes sense that in old folk tales, bread could speak. In Hungarian folk belief, loaves of bread sometimes played the role of magical helpers. They warned heroes of danger or boasted of their strength. The bread would hide while shouting at an enemy, "They buried me in the ground and I survived. They cut me down and I survived. They ground me, baked me, and I survived." The enemy would flee in fear, thinking the voice belonged to something powerful. This sounds familiar, doesn't it? The Gingerbread Man also boasts about what he's escaped. Maybe he isn't just a silly cookie. Maybe he's a piece of something older, a time when grain was believed to hold the divine spirit of the harvest. The dark side of gingerbread. Gingerbread men first became famous at Queen Elizabeth I's court. The Queen ordered gingerbread figures made to look like her visiting guests, tiny spiced cookies decorated with gold and sugar icing. But gingerbread wasn't always used to honor people. In early modern Europe, it was also connected to something darker. People believed witches could work magic using food shaped like people. To pierce the figure was to hurt the person. To burn it was to give them fever. To eat it was to consume their power. City laws in 1500s to 1600s Germany and the Netherlands even banned certain molded pastries, including gingerbread men, when made for superstitious purposes. Despite these darker connections, gingerbread remained popular. By the 1700s, it was a beloved treat at fairs and festivals. Here another tradition emerged: the gingerbread husband. Young women would buy or receive a little gingerbread man as a love charm. If you ate him, you'd soon find a real husband. This sounds sweet, but it may reflect something far older. The earliest European gingerbread was different from today's recipes, a dense mixture of breadcrumbs, honey, and exotic spices pressed into carved wooden molds. It wasn't casual food. It was shaped into saints and angels, edible holy images made by medieval monks. This is the earliest form of the gingerbread man, ritual food, blessed and eaten with reverence. Sacred eating. The idea of eating something sacred is ancient. In early Christianity, bread and wine represent Christ's body and blood. The faithful eat them as an act of remembrance. This echoes something older. Across many cultures, eating wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. In Aztec rituals, idols were shaped from flour and blood into the bodies of gods. These sacred figures were paraded, worshipped, then ritually broken and eaten by the community. In ancient Greek Orphic mystery cults, there's a story about the god Zagreus, torn to pieces by titans who then ate him. From their ashes, after Zeus struck them down, mankind was formed. This myth explains why humans are both flawed and divine. In many ancient beliefs, eating the body of a god or something representing them meant absorbing their essence, their power, wisdom, or strength. It was a mystical union. Many ancient gods died and were reborn with the seasons. Symbolically, eating them allowed humans to take part in that eternal cycle. The true secret. When we look back at the gingerbread man, this little dough figure suddenly alive, who is chased, caught, and eaten, we glimpse something far older than a simple fairy tale. He carries both of humanity's oldest stories, the story of our creation, shaped from clay and given life, and the story of our communion, that eating a god meant sharing in their power. It's the same story told of Zagreus, torn apart and eaten. The same story of the corn spirit baked into bread and eaten. It's the memory of a time when bread was God. And by eating it, we joined the cycle of death and rebirth ourselves. That's the true secret behind the gingerbread man, a children's tale that carries, hidden in sweet laughter, the memory of mankind's first religion.